to breed and to sing. Hundreds of humpbacks have gathered at the same time in the same place.
Look, there comes one now.
He'll hear you.
Like most.
A month, I have a brand new set. It really depends on how you hit the cars.
While here, they will feed almost exclusively on other birds. And strike. Or the power. 1,500 meters or more. And dive.
Tusk development is genetically determined. Non-tuskers, known as muknas, compensate.
Males who sing. Heard over hundreds of miles. The singers may chant for days.
The shoulder and weighs about 5 tons. Bulls periodically go through a condition known
Found at every turn.
as mystery. During must, a discharge exudes from temporal glands on each side of the head. This bull forces the must to flow by exerting pressure on his tusks. A character change occurs during this period. Bulls become temperamental, irritable, and extremely aggressive. The condition has never been recorded for male.
It seems fitting that man should imitate nature. And Sarkar.
I got a
Legend.
He's
Nalonik Temela has been carving for 45 years and works only with
time. My daughter, she's 7, started. First 2 days of school, they just didn't believe her because one of the first things they had to do.
part of life.
And here, in the middle of the darkness, is the rock wallaby. It has special foot soles that keep it from slipping on the rocky slopes where it lives. On the plains in the orange sunrise, the big gray kangaroos are greeting the return of the sun and the end of the rainy season. The fertile ground provides it with plentiful amounts of tender grass shoots.
Crisp as it can be, developing the most horsepower.
Icebergs are formed when
In that 40-foot area to launch from, launch is all important in a mud run. Did I pick the bottom of the terrain in the pit? Did I pick the right spot to go through? Is the left front?
The kangaroo can reach a running speed of 40 miles an hour. When the males fight, they clutch each other with their short front legs and make a tripod with their tails and back legs. They lash out with their hind legs, which have sharp claws. This kicking is highly dangerous. The strategy is to get into a position where one kangaroo can deliver a knockout blow to the other one. The Kakadu is a place where kangaroos, koalas, and rock wallabies can roam wild and free. It is a place where some of the world's most unusual animal species are protected.
Tusks become dangerous weapons in the battle for dominance. Excited by the jousting, the herd moves toward the contestants.
Of Argentina, another species of whale is gathering to breed. Southern right whales are very distinctive. Their heads are marked by rough growths of skin known as callosities. The females have traveled thousands of miles to give birth here. The shallow waters are safe. They prevent the threat of attack to a newborn from below.
Flag, Captain James Cook sailed into Newfoundland waters. Much
and just plain curious.
Car crushing, it was, you drove out onto the track and you crawl over the cars, and that was a big thing. Then it slowly progressed where you finally, we did a wheel stand over the cars. Now, Jim Kramer, Rich Hooser, they're racing and they're jumping cars. They hit the first one and clear 7 of them.
Males have traveled the same distance as the females to meet here. Like the humpbacks, they are determined to mate. Unlike the humpbacks,
the summer
the
month.
female right whale has no escort to protect her. She is on her own. Her defense is a number of avoidance techniques. The males need to mate a female from underneath. Staying in shallow water helps prevent this. She can also lie on her back with her underside out of the water to prevent access. Male right whales don't seem to be competitive with each other in the same way as humpbacks, but they are just as persistent. Eventually, the female has to turn in order to breathe. The males surround her as a group and wait. Once she does, they move in and mate.
If you look at the puffins here in flight, you'll see that they have a really rapid wing beat. And so they have really a relatively difficult time flying. And the reason is that their wing is really a compromise for flying in air and flying underwater. And they probably fly at about the same speed underwater that they do in the air. And they fly fast enough underwater to catch capelin and other fish. So it's really curious. It's the puffin, the murre, the razorbill, basically all have that basic constraint in their flight physiology.
Newfoundland's climate and coastline may have proved uninviting to the first Europeans, but the coves and beaches of Canada's other Atlantic provinces proved welcoming. Soldiers, fishermen, and farmers put down roots from the south shore of Nova Scotia.
Some 21,000 grey whales are now thought to migrate. They tend to...
The lobster can make a fast getaway to an effective hiding place.
Prince Edward Island is home to the fictional...
Even in designated areas such as Blue.
To the southwest, New Brunswick's Bay of Fundy has served both as a testing ground for mariners.
Thousands of people, the wonder and thrill of face-to-flipper contact. It's good for the local economy, and it's certainly safe for the whale. As they feed and grow quickly on mother's rich milk. They have only 2 months before they must begin to migrate north. The calf is born with a smooth skin, but it won't be long before it takes on the characteristic look of the rest of the family. Well, the everyday behavior of these giant creatures.
A moray eel with the only facial expression nature allows.
But there are too many cattle, and the elephants are forced to move away in search of less disturbed grazing areas.
Home for just 1 or 2. Schedule is devoted to its fans. And all the excitement generated by fan loyalty didn't go unnoticed by the media. The truck had more coverage than any single vehicle ever built. Over the years,
They are in fact defenses. A mere brush against them will cause immediate and intense pain. Cardiac failure can then follow.
Sambar deer also graze here and become anxious at finding themselves surrounded by elephants. The raised tail signals danger, and they...
big business. And that requires special attention.
Cape Breton's natural splendor.
You know, this is really great. Here we
With the establishment of the Cape National Park in 1930,
go to the
mobile was emerging as
did everything we possibly could because we always thought it was just going to be a flash in the pan. We thought we would do this and then it would fade out. But every year it kept getting bigger and bigger. We have
But flies have found the shade too. This elephant uses a leafy branch to swat them away. Elephant skin is rough and thick, but there are chinks in the armor, gaps between the wrinkles where blood-sucking flies deliver stinging bites. The sensitive skin around the eyes is especially vulnerable. Flapping ears keep the flies on the move, but their presence isn't felt until their bite has pierced the skin. It's only then that they're swatted away with a leafy twig, a tail, ears, or a trunk.
Volcanic eruptions, screechers.
Home. Home to freedom.
The marine iguana, the only lizard that feeds in the sea. But before it enters the cold water, it warms itself.
Despite their high casualties, the flies never give up.
It is early spring.
Once in water, the iguana has the suppleness of an accomplished swimmer.
Against the small predators.
They must be on the move. In Hawaii, drinking 50 gallons of mother's fat-rich milk a day. A remarkable feat for the mother, as she has not eaten for several months. Producing all that milk has taken its toll on her reserve.
Hello, everybody. Just wanted to pipe in and say hi to everybody out there. I hope you're enjoying the stream. I hope it's going good. I think it's going pretty good. What else can I say? Got lots of views on that last video. I'm very happy. People are watching. So I thought I'd hit you back with another one tonight. Had some problems with the streaming device, but I think we got it worked out. I think we did. Yes, we did get it worked out. So that's all good. What else do I need to inform you? We got some interesting videos playing. For some reason, I got some Bigfoot, and we got all kinds of stuff, actually. You know, we got some iguanas. We got some. I don't know what these are, but we got some whales. We got some elephants. Yeah. Oh, these guys are fighting. Lizards. Anyways, I'm not going to bore you much longer with my rhetoric. I'm going to get back to the show here now. Okay, let's do that.
The humpbacks have a goal which only death or serious injury will prevent. It is not, though, a race. The humpbacks normally travel at 6 miles per hour, but it is often slower than that. They also rest and socialize on the way. The mother guides her calf, using up the last of her remaining energy. The calf has much to learn. This is a route which will be repeated each year. It is thought that some whales use low-frequency sounds to help them navigate. The whales give out sounds which are echoed back by the distant islands and shorelines in distinctive ways. It may be a homing system to tell them exactly.
Brothers and sisters, no question about it. He could talk to that thing.
In Baja, California, the gray whales are well on their way north. The Hawaiian humpbacks may seem like great travelers, but they are mere tourists compared to the gray whales. With the new calves only 2 months old, their migration involves an annual swim of 10,000 miles.
A huge male weighing 550 pounds has installed his family on the small beach.
Through the Bering Straits.
Calves don't need much persuading to take a bath. They become excited and noisy. One young male, anxious to get into the water, pushes from the back of the line.
And prove that time and time. And
We were riding
a wide expanse of water necessary for such large bathers. Elephants love water and wallow and roll once the water takes the weight off their feet. They're also expert swimmers.
Any other sea lion.
Learning the ancient routes north to find food is critical. This youngster will need
Exertion. It's time for a bit of sunbathing. The oyster catcher uses its beak like a chisel to open up its food.
Since giving birth, lost nearly half her body weight.
It's going to be easy to beat.
Urgently, but there are many miles
Just
ahead.
above the water.
By its towering tides. With each outgoing tide, about 100 cubic kilometers of water flows out of the bay, roughly equal to the entire daily discharge of all the world's rivers combined. When the tides recede, they reveal nearly 15 meters of towering rock formation.
The orca, or killer whale, the largest of the dolphin family.
And going back at it immediately. Up against barefoot. This ought to be quite a race. Fred,
their boats and their lives pursuing whales.
And Fred has got to be going through his mind right on that pyramid of cars just a moment ago.
Oh, it definitely does. This could very well happen again. If Fred can leave the cars a little bit to the right, I think he can come off that pyramid a lot sooner.
There it is. Hoosier still after him. It's a close race. Hoosier trying to jump him. Barefoot really tight race. It's tied up. They are just even. Barefoot will not let up neither one of them. Hoosier's going to go for it. Hoosier is going for it. Can he do it? Can he do it? Oh, my heaven. That was a very, very close race. An action-packed race. Finish, we're going to look at it. This is the last set of cars, and here is the finish, high in the air. Barefoot is leading it right there, but I believe that Rick passes him right here. The landing is so...
Fred was on the cars first, but he had lost his forward momentum. He didn't charge the cars fast enough. On the other hand, Rick...
The group
soil with the forefeet, collect it with their trunks, and toss it under their backs. Dust baths are usually taken soon after climbing ashore.
to be in the right place when a white-bellied female rolls over into the breeding position.
It over to
The air is filled with the sound of their massive lungs, filling and emptying. If there is a successful mating, a single calf will be born a year from now, measuring 5 meters in length.
As tough a race as Bigfoot has been in quite some time. The Skull Bandit truck out of California was really on him all the way through, and he tortured that Bigfoot truck.
Here it is, the People's Choice. This is Big Andy Brass behind the wheel tonight. You know the details. It's an 88 Ford, 429.
Descended from only 3 females. The conservation zone in the Bay of Fundy may be their best hope.
Rick Hoosier, who drives Bigfoot on occasion. Today he's with us up here in the broadcast booth. Hi, Rick.
Lines up and goes for it right now.
Whoa, man!
Rich, what happened when you line up for the cars? What's going through your mind?
Well, the main thing, Mike, is to make sure you get lined up straight on the cars, especially in a smaller arena like this. You want to make sure you hit them straight so you can land straight. When you do that, you make a lot better show.
A vast wild sanctuary stretching over 840,000 square miles across the Arctic.
Their delight and relief.
Arctic winter drives many living things into hibernation. But
Lewisburg is so defined with the 45 years
The unborn calf
almost
has been moved into position for its entry into the world. Another addition to
in
the
that it's
family
founded
tree.
at a particular point in time. It thrives and comes to great prosperity. Then
on which it can
her rear legs, making the gap between them wider to ease the birth. And from this position, the fetus doesn't have so far to fall. At last, covered in the fetal membrane, the calf enters the world. It's been a hard birth. After all that effort, she moves closer, but there is no reassuring movement from the small body. The cow, not yet accepting her loss, kicks dust over the calf's body to dry it. After all, she can
feed. But not so for the gray whales.
As the light begins to fade and the flying squirrels take up their nightly activity, night draws a veil over a life
seeking
this Arctic region are masters at conserving energy. The predator's wing
to the nuts and bolts that held them together.
Because in case of a rim failure or a tire failure, and the safety ring would become dislodged, it would move to the middle of the truck, or toward the middle of the truck, and be detained. Up here we have engine shields. Now,
the fox's fur changes as soon as the cold season arrives. While dark in summer, in winter their coats become snowy white and thicken to give better protection against the cold. Their normal diet is lemmings, which they kill and store away in the snow. If lemmings are scarce, they will eat almost anything. But no animal in Greenland is safe from another more cunning creature, the wolf. Reindeers are brave explorers of new lands. They have crossed continents unharmed through the centuries. It's now 5 million years since the reindeer immigration started from
buffet.
Calves are extremely hairy compared to adults, Their eyes are quite red at birth, almost bloodshot.
Great clouds of mud swirl as they suck food into their mouths. They pick up their nourishment along the bottom of the ocean floor. The whales feed on their sides, taking in food and mud on one side of their vast mouth and sieving out unwanted material through the baleen fin.
Another cow to assist in the protection and upbringing of the calf. And touches the mother's
land animals.
Produces low-frequency sounds, too low to be heard by human ears.
The whales travel right up to the edge of the Arctic pack ice, eating continuously. They will need to build their reserves of blubber for the winter return to the Gulf.
Is the lord of the Arctic, the polar bear. Its eyes are shielded from the bright glare reflected from the snow and ice by a protective lid which acts as a light polarizer. Polar bears don't have a home territory. The shifting ice makes it too difficult to protect a defined area. But they seldom stray more than 100 miles. They normally feed on a diet of seals. But here, the bear is hunting for fish. We can never say of the polar bear that its eyes are bigger than its stomach. In fact, this animal's stomach can hold more than 150 pounds of food. Faced with no choice, it is capable of fasting for several days or making do with a few fish. Dinner awaits below the ice. The bear has caught the scent and begins to dig for its prey. A cousin is approaching, but all sense of kinship disappears when food is at stake.
Comparison to other whales, just one calf every 4 years. And has some similarities with humans. They can live to be 100.
The visitor becomes more and more pushy. During autumn and winter, these confrontations are playful. Bloody scuffles take place only in spring, when the males fight for the right to mate. When that happens, competition is fierce because there are never enough females to go around. The sun never sets during the month of May, and the unique golden light of spring in Greenland will soon turn the polar bear's white coat to gold.
Learn about their environment by exploring it constantly. But with two very playful youngsters to protect, the cow and ant have a full-time job.
Living in the Arctic through the seasons and only making a short
The tussle of play is just another form of learning. Their trunks at this stage flap about without much muscle.
The assault of
a bite of beluga.
Rust in waves of granite and volcanic glass. Yellowstone today is a land of upheavals.
Single tooth, which may grow to 6.5 feet long. It is not a feeding device, but an advertisement of strength and vigor.
Well, cars are set and tracks ready. Let's go take a look at it. What are you going to do?
Well, Mike, the way the course is set up, it's short and quick like we talked about earlier. It could be maybe a 1-gear track or 2-gear track. I'm really not made up my mind yet. I need to see what some of these other trucks do.
Right here, top of the hill, will you be wide open on the truck?
Be wide open when I start.
It pours more to the Atlantic Ocean than any other river in Canada. And its economic importance to major cities on the Great...
You have to hit the first car. 2 and 2 rule. Your 2 front have to impact the first car. Bounce off as long as at least 2 of your tires stay on this.
...of the Saguenay River flows south from Lac Saint...
Hard to finish line and win.
This stirs up a nutritious broth that creates an ideal feeding ground for whales.
A bird may be scared away by a wind-blown white flag.
Higher up in the foothills of the mountains, some male bighorn sheep are looking for likely sparring partners.
The cold waters of Alaska.
Their horns are weapons which can weigh as much as 1/7 of their weight.
Much more frequently than the female herds. And even among
Hours of the northern summer has encouraged the growth of microscopic animals and plants in the water known as plankton. The very
sociable and very elegant. Everything seems to be calm. But suddenly, one detects danger.
Millions of small fish
Pronghorn
like
can
these
reach
herring
speeds
are
of
after
up
the
to 50
plankton.
miles per hour.
The whales are after
But
the
there
fish.
is more.
How they catch
When it
them
is frightened,
is incredible.
the hairs on its rump bristle up, forming a
Suddenly
bright
the
white
sea is
patch,
rent by
which is visible
180
for miles
decibels.
in the prairie.
Wild animals. Given adequate compensation, the people here would be willing to move.
The humpbacks swim below the herring, blowing air out of their blowholes and surrounding the fish with bubbles.
Buffalo, or American bison, is larger and more powerful than the European bison. But whereas it took several centuries for the European one to be almost annihilated, the American buffalo was brought to the brink of extinction.
Herring bunched together, not
60 million.
Only 6 feet deep and 3 feet wide with tapering sides. But all this effort is not proving very useful. The trenches easily silt up, and the
size of the herd fell to approximately 25 elephants.
An elephant's diet also includes bark from their
scraps of their winter coat.
their jaws is large enough to catch a small boat.
During the mating season, in the heat of summer,
The herring may jump in panic out of one mouth, but it's usually straight into the throat of another. At feeding time, the battles of the past are forgotten.
Belugas get their name from...
Kramer's flying him on his nose, takes it out. It's a Bigfoot win. As the weapon gets in a little bit of trouble, comes off the right-hand side of the car. So Foot will go outside and qualify for another round. Second round. Well, Jim Kramer qualified with a 472, came back on the second.
like intelligent animal.
So you can tell that that side of the track is a little bit fast.
They come to see you quite often, and they don't gain something specific.
As it's pulling the driver's side on their passes. So far in the second round of racing, Quick Time is owned by Crunch. Look at that, talk about Crunch.
Some kind of aura that I like.
About a third of the water from the St. Lawrence River flows past the haunting rock formations of the Mingan Archipelago.
Between this round and the winner of this round advancing on the final. Jim Miller versus Jim Kramer in a pair of Ford trucks. Both of them staged very carefully. Watch for the light to go green. Clock starts then. Who's it gonna be? It's the whole shot. It made all the difference. He wins it all over the track. A little bit of a rough landing for Jim Kramer. Semi-final round, a quarterfinal. This winner of this will go into the finals, and it's Bigfoot versus Rambo. The Ford has quick time of the night so far, and that is a 4.36. He did it on his last run. 3.6. We'll go home. Christmas tree light.
Recently, 1,000 years.
Kramer.
The enormous weight caused the islands to sink again. 10,000 years ago, as the planet began to warm, the ice melted, and the islands gradually rebounded from the sea. The rock that re-emerged first now stands beside ancient beaches, meters inland.
Really running right up to the wall. It looks like there has been
That slab.
possibly a ruptured rock.
Cliffs.
Get into the final round.
Here. On or near it. Just as it did in every other part of Canada's east coast, the sea sustained early settlers on the Gaspé. In the early 1600s,
laws banning the trade in Indian ivory. The traders may do business in African ivory, but they must register and declare their stocks periodically. The government hopes that this will discourage the poachers by making it much more difficult to do business. But implementing the law has not proven easy. Once it has been carved, there is no
waiting and helps itself. One fiddler crab who wasn't alert is pounced upon and devoured. But look out, there's no rest even for the hunters. Those who are catching fiddler crabs know that they too can be easy prey.
And luxuries like bananas and peppermints. When
makes its escape, and the alligator has to be content chasing terrapin.
Throws water on it and feels it with his trunk.
Like the humpback,
camouflages the lines of its head. Suddenly, the small creature...
Large price on his head. His tusks are nearly 6 feet.
A measured look to judge the distance, and the little creature's number is up. The Everglades alligator has been a protected creature ever since the park
was this dried-up skeleton. Poachers have taken such a toll of large tuskers that to continue the illegal trade, young bulls, only 5 years old, are now being killed. Their tusks are just a few inches long. This selective killing is leading to an imbalance of the sexes. This could have catastrophic results.
Needs food urgently, but they're
always eager to communicate and play.
Their whole existence is threatened.
Hurry to shore. These large dolphins are called blower dolphins and live in most of the seas and
oath to a gray whale.
Ironically, elephants have been instrumental in the destruction of the forests they need. For centuries, their great strength and intelligence have worked for man, hauling timber and clearing land for agriculture and settlement. Between 1972 and 1982, 150 million acres of forest in India were cleared.
Summer's End, the seal population numbers more than 300. Awkward on land, the seals acquire grace and speed underwater. They feed on a rich variety of fish and crustaceans, delicacies like crab and lobster.
Nature is made possible by public television stations. Nationwide, 27,000 Americans in 400 locations. The name is Siemens.
Thousands of marsh birds congregate in blissful sanctuary. 300 birds, so many that they actually struck fear into the Seminole Indians. When the birds took to the sky, the noise was so great that the Indians put their heads. At certain times of the year, all the birds follow the shoals of fish.
They swish their great tail flukes as they arrive along these calm shores and feast on the riches found in the Alaskan waters.
It has just spotted a new prey. Patiently and precisely, it takes aim and strikes. Its beak is used like a lance. One part of the bill will pierce the fish so that it can't wriggle free. A long struggle, bird against...
loudly, which alerts the older cows to rush in and intervene.
So are the humpbacks.
The bird opens its beak, stretches its neck, and the meal is over. There's barely time to digest the food before the biggest hunter of them all begins to circle overhead. The osprey is carrying its fish in its talons. Discretion is the better part of valor, as the
bar. Try to drink here, he slipped and died.
Its body is slender, and its feet are light. Fights like this are hardly combat. Every now and then, the pair of white-tailed deer
Curious enough to come so close to this boat.
Just a few meters away, a black bear retraces his route. Two more humpbacks head for open water. Eastern Canada is a subtle place. The East Coast's quiet beauty is a blessing for those looking to return to more natural rhythms. Aloft by the change of...
The puma is a solitary hunter covering a hunting ground of 19 square miles. But stalking his food may take him a distance of up to 2 miles before the kill. By culling a spreading deer population, the puma has always been an essential element in maintaining the balance of American wildlife. The puma is rarely without an audience of vultures perched at a safe distance up a tree. When the
Cattle compete directly for food with the wild herbivores. They also increase the risks of spreading diseases like anthrax and foot and mouth disease.
The whales have been swimming for more than 2 months. The Arctic restaurant
to survey its
a good one.
Meanwhile, none of the wildlife in the Everglades are likely to risk attracting its attention or straying into its path. Not that this puma seems to be in a particularly hostile mood. Even a new scent on the wind doesn't do a great deal to arouse his interest. After all, it's siesta time. All of the animals are saving their energy.
For the king of the monster truck, Bigfoot.
We were on our way up to the lake to go swimming, and Judy had a radio, and we heard the first reports about this. So we knew the old house was here, and we came in and found the lady upstairs dead. Then these other people came. We went down into the basement and put a bar across the door, and it is pretty strong.
How could we possibly get away from here? We've got a sick child.
Nourishment along the bottom of the ocean.
Camargue is in the south of France, where the Rhone River meets the sea. This national reservation, created in
and sieving.
The ritual is always the same. Wash or shower first.
There's a blubber for the winter.
And small crustaceans. The pink flamingo is king of the birds in the Camargue. It nests close to marshy ground in colonies several thousand strong. Mating of flamingos always results in just one egg, one chick, which will have to wait until it is an adult before it attains its full color. The flamingo is perfectly adapted to life in the salty water.
Skin is rough and thick, but there are chinks in the armor, gaps between the wrinkles where blood-sucking flies deliver stinging bites. The sensitive skin around the eyes is especially vulnerable. Flapping ears keep the flies on the move, but their presence
go fishing
isn't
again.
felt until their bite has pierced the skin. It's only then that they're swatted away with a leafy twig, a tail, ears, or a trunk.
The white horses of the Camargue live in freedom. They form family groups with a strict and long-lasting hierarchy. Male or female, it hardly matters. A muzzle here means friendship, not intimacy. Bellies laden with this year's foal.
Dusting, though, in inaccessible areas is the surest defense.
Other whales feeding in the Arctic are not as well adapted as the bowheads. These grey whales have left their...
Suddenly, life begins to emerge.
Swim free.
Giving birth is a surprise to which one never becomes accustomed. 1 minute you're pregnant, the next you turn your head and suddenly it's there.
Heat exchanger. This area dispels excessive body heat.
The first tentative steps. Reeling giddily, the foal has trouble finding its balance.
To a bite of beluga.
The mother will try an easy trick. She retreats slowly, grazing nonchalantly. In this way, she forces the foal to try to walk in order to get to her. And so it does. The training has taken no more than an hour.
Dominance. Perhaps it's the old story. Old whalers used to call the beluga the sea canary. Its whistles, squeaks,
Large migrating bird are represented here. These birds, with a beak as narrow as a feather, are the barometer of the fish life in the marshes. In the ducks, and particularly the mallards' breeding season, the assembly of males and females becomes one big traffic jam.
It is here, along these bold coastlines, that marine and land
crew member while on
of more than a tenth of the world's remaining wilderness.
highway. They're not exactly considered street legal transportation.
They don't seem to.
So in order to get big one place,
You ready upstairs? Yeah. Okay, toss them.
Black rock, which resists the Mistral wind. The Camargue bull weighs around 800 pounds.
And wallow and roll once the water takes the weight off their feet. They are also expert swimmers.
Almost 100 feet across. The herring bunch together, not wanting to swim through the net of bubbles. Their only escape seems up towards the surface. But there is no escape. Streaming up from within their own fishing net of air, the humpbacks literally let the food jump into their mouths.
"24 hours of daylight in high summer."
35, maybe to 50 shows. On his own, others some of the
this Arctic ocean.
I guess it's my turn to back up.
Hello, everybody. Are you still with us? Are you still watching? We're gonna land the plane here right away. I hope you enjoyed our session. But our session has now come to an end. There you go. Thank you for watching. Again, we will end